Hi, it's Leslie here. Today I wanted to talk for 5 or 10 minutes about using television series to learn languages as opposed to movies. If you're investing thousands of hours of learning a language, it's good to know what to do, what's a good way to learn it. So, one of the things I like most about using series to learn languages is that, you know, I don't have to look up what movie to watch next. It's there. It's so that's less time for me trying to find what I'm going to do that day. It's just ready to go. Um, that's one reason. The main thing is though that I get to know the characters. I get to know what characters have what personality traits and characteristics. This makes it a little bit easier to understand what's going on. Some people might have, they might get angrier a lot easier than other people, or there's one character that might steal something and he's got, a bit of a kleptomaniac type of personality. One person might be really sensitive and cries a lot, and all these things make it that much easier to understand what's going on. So in a movie, you don't really get that. You get you're it's a new every new movie is different from each other, and you don't know the characters to begin with. It might have a more complicated plot. So that's what I've found, that it's been easier for me to continue just watching series because I know a little bit about what I'm getting to start with. It's just way easier for me anyway. It's way easier. Yes, it might be a little bit boring getting the same series all the time, but at least I'm understanding it more so than I would some complicated movie. I will eventually start watching movies, I think, although I'm just going to watch all the series that I can for in the beginning, and I've almost caught up to the present day with some of these series. So I won't be watching reruns or repeats anymore. I'll have to wait a week or two or month, whatever, for them to come out. So I started with Kitchen. Then I moved across to Hotel Elion. Around then I found Ordinary Woman. I watched one season of that. I watched Better Than Us. And then I watched The Sniffer. And now I'm on to Hotel Grand. I had a bit of a dive into Senya Fyodor, but I haven't seen that one. And after Grand, I'll probably go across to Hotel Belgrade. So the reason I'm going with this series, and I haven't really paid much attention to movies, it's kind of I will explain that now. The main thing is, in each one of these series, it might be, say, 10 hours per season. If it's half an hour long or 25 minutes long, some of these, and there's 20 in a series, it's about 10 hours. So I don't have to look up continually new movies, which one I'm going to watch. I just put it on, I know what I'm going to get. So it saves me time looking up what I'm actually going to do. So I don't have to look up, well, what am I going to study today? It's just there. It's the 87th series of Kitchen, right? Or whatever. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is I get to know the characters. And so, you know, the good thing with that is knowing the characters, you can sort of almost predict how they're going to respond. Like, for example, in the series Kitchen, there's a guy, the chef, who's always stealing things. So, you can almost predict that was him that's stealing it. Yeah, and it makes it just that little bit easier than a movie where you don't know the characters, you don't know what's going to happen. Um, it's just that much easier. You know almost how they're going to react. Some people, for example, some series, there's some that get angry easier than others, or some that are always grumpy, or some that are, so it just makes it that little bit easier. And I've found that, when I've been really in a good groove of learning, I can almost guess. So if say there's a word I don't know, I can almost guess what it is. Based on the context. So I look it up, and sure enough, I've guessed what it means. So I think that's a really good place to be at language learning when you're almost guessing the last puzzle piece of the sentence. So it feels really good to get to that stage. I'm actually watching the Hotel Grand now without any subtitles at all, not even Russian subtitles. I felt that I went really backwards doing that for about 10 episodes. I was lost again. But now, after maybe, I think I've watched 2 seasons of that, so I'm into the third season. So after about 10 or 20 hours of that practice, I can get what's going on without any subtitles at all, which is pretty impressive considering that I haven't been studying in Russia. I haven't even been to Russia since I started studying Russian. So it's pretty good going. The other reason that I like series is because say there was one episode that I was totally lost. I didn't get what was going on, right? I must have missed something in the beginning. It was one of those episodes where it was a lot of talking and not actually anything physical with prompts to show you what's going on. I didn't know what the whole episode was about. But it's no big deal, I just put on the next episode the next day and continued with it. And it wasn't such a big deal that I didn't know what was going on in one season or one episode rather, because, some episodes are more boring than others, right? If you're watching a movie and that happens, you really, well, you don't want to know what's going on in a movie, do you? You really you're watching it to know what's going on. But a series, it's no big deal if you're actually you're not following it, for some reason. You might have missed one important sentence. No big deal. Just watch it to the end and watch the next series. The other thing I was going to say is, for me, the series are a little bit closer to real life than a movie. So it's almost like I am getting a bit of the culture. If I'm watching a series, I'm getting some of that culture that I was interested in the beginning to learn about. Whereas a movie might be science fiction or whatever. So I'm getting to know, although the characters might be not real, they're based on people working and living in Russia. So they're based on some kind of reality in the beginning. And yeah, the main thing I wanted to say is that just I've found it quite good watching series to learn languages. I hope you find this video helpful. Even if it's only, I haven't taught you any Russian or any language here, but even just a little tip, if you're investing thousands of hours of learning, it's worth it to watch a few 5-10 minute videos about methods, I think. Okay, I'll just say a few more things. I've had to stop this video many times. It didn't record properly, so it's going to be lots of cutting and editing. One of the things I found that I realised was that if I'm learning it the right way, I could almost guess the missing word in a sentence. So if I'm I understand most of the words in a sentence. If there's one I don't understand, many times actually, I'd be able to actually guess whether, well, it's obviously if it's a thing, but even just an abstract noun or something, you can almost guess what it's going to be, and that's a good place to be at when learning a language. Just putting into the final place the piece of the puzzle without any effort. What I was going to say was, I try and learn one word at a time, right? Like, I don't like learning whole phrases. So in the beginning, I don't start watching the series. I start one word at a time. Want, and then learn want, then learn have to, then learn one word at a time. And then when I've learned about 1,000 words or so, then I think maybe I'll have a stab at watching the series. Because that's frustrating too. If you have to look up every word, before you're even, every single sentence, you're pausing it all the time, that's frustrating too. That's probably harder, for me, that's harder than putting in some hard work in the beginning and learning one word at a time from, another audio material, whatever. There was one more thing I was going to say about all this. Oh yeah, the last thing I was going to say was, how do you know when to quit, or like what series to quit, or how do you know whether you like it or not, and whether, it's hard to know sometimes whether that series is for you or not. Well, it's the same. I try and think of it the same way as watching a normal movie or a normal series. If you don't like the series, I suggest don't watch it. Just try and find something else, If you don't like that movie, if you wouldn't finish it in English, don't finish it in the other language. Forget it. Just quit. Just do something else. And it's the same with any learning material. If I don't like it, I won't finish it. But I won't feel bad if I don't finish it. I'll just think, well, that wasn't for me. But the ones that I do like, I absolutely make 100% sure that I do finish them, because otherwise, if you're not, if you never finish anything, that's not good either, of course. But you have to learn to find material that suits you, and then definitely finish it. Not, be always quitting, because that's not good for your learning mood, let's call it. Yeah. So that's about all I have to say today. Yeah, I'll be watching Hotel Belgrade after the next series, I think, that I'll be watching. And then I may actually watch one Finnish series, because I've been learning a bit of Finnish. But I'll leave that until I have finished all my Italian as well. So I'm going to finish off the Italian learning material that I'm doing, and then I might study Finnish for a couple of months before moving on to another language. Okay, so that's all from me today. Okay, thank you. Bye.